Hello ladies and gents, I'm DK86. Google just finished their Made by Google conference where they announced a whole bunch of interesting stuff, including their DayDream VR headset, their Chromecast Ultra, the Google Home device which features the Google Assistant, which is kind of like the slave for your house, and finally the Google Pixel handsets. In this video I'm going to be focusing on the Google Pixel handsets and comparing them to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so first of all I just want to say that I watched the entire Made by Google conference, took notes on the whole damn thing, and I want to make a video about everything, but if I did that we'd be here for a good couple of hours. So I thought it'd be a good idea to compare the Google Pixel handsets to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus because I really thought that that would be something that people actually wanted to hear about. Right now on the screen you can see I've got two browsers open. On the left you can see the Google Pixel. This is their very black color. They've got the 5-inch handset here, 5.5-inch handset here, and over here they've got their quite silver handset. There is one more color that they're releasing. I think it's like a limited edition and they're calling that one really blue. If I find a picture of it, I'll stick that up on your screens now. So looking at these handsets, as you can see they look very similar to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. The edges are very similar. They've got these antenna lines on the outside band, aluminium unibody design, and yeah, they just look similar to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. To be honest, all of these smartphones these days are looking quite similar. I mean, they all just look the same, especially from a distance. The one big difference that you will notice from the Google Pixel and the iPhone 7 is that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus have their Touch ID sensor on the front of the phone, which is right here where the home button is, whereas with the Google Pixel handsets, you have their fingerprint sensor on the back in the center right over here. So that's one big difference that you can see right off the bat. Overall, I think it's a very good looking phone. It's a nice looking handset, and yeah, let's go and compare it to the 7 and 7 Plus. Okay, so the left browser window is for the Google Pixel handsets and the right browser window is for the 7 and 7 Plus. So first of all, if we compare the design and the dimensions of these handsets, you'll be able to see just by looking at the screen that the iPhone 7 Plus is slightly, well, it has a bigger footprint than the Google Pixel XL, whereas the Google Pixel XL is slightly thicker. So the Google Pixel is 6 inches by 2.9 inches, whereas the 7 Plus is 6.23 inches by 3.07 inches. But like I said, the Google Pixel XL is slightly thicker. There's probably a reason for that, and that reason is probably because it's got a slightly bigger battery, but we'll get to that in a minute. If you look at the Pixel compared to the iPhone 7 standard, the Pixel has a 5-inch screen and the iPhone 7 has a 4.7-inch screen, so the Pixel has a slightly larger screen. Because of that, it's obviously slightly bigger than the iPhone 7. Overall, they look quite similar. You can't really tell them apart when you look at them from a distance, and yeah, I think the Pixel XL having a slightly smaller footprint than the iPhone 7 Plus, even though they both have a 5.5-inch display, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's nice that it's slightly more compact. Speaking of screens, I think we should go ahead and compare the displays now. So looking at it right on paper, the Pixel and the Pixel XL both win hands down when you compare the screens to the iPhone 7 screens. So I'll just adjust this right browser here so you can compare the iPhone 7 specs to the Pixel specs on the left. So first up, the Pixel against the iPhone 7. The Pixel is a 5-inch screen, it's a full HD AMOLED screen, so that means it's 1920 by 1080, and it has 441 pixels per inch. Comparing that to the iPhone 7 is a 4.8-inch screen, it's 1334 by 750 pixels, and it has 326 pixels per inch. So right off the bat, the Pixels won it just on specs alone. I don't know what the real world performance will be here for the Pixel, but looking at the specs themselves, the Pixel screen wins hands down. Comparing the Pixel XL to the iPhone 7 Plus is a similar story to the Pixel versus the iPhone 7. I mean, you've got a 5.5-inch screen here on the Pixel with a Quad HD AMOLED screen with a PPI of 534. That's pretty freaking good. Compare that to the iPhone 7 Plus, 5.5-inch screen, 1920 by 1080, which is full HD, it's not Quad HD, with a pixel per inch of 401. So again, that's a really big difference between these two displays. On paper alone, the Pixel XL wins hands down, and I think that's due to the Quad HD AMOLED screen, and yeah, it just looks like it's going to be a much better screen than the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. You really can't argue with these numbers, I'm afraid, you just can't. Even though I have an iPhone 7 Plus at the minute, I haven't been able to see the pixels on the screen. I haven't had any issues with it. So on paper, yes, the Pixel and Pixel XL do win hands down, but in the real world, will you really be able to tell the difference? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but right now it looks like the Pixel has a really good start here. Another thing that I want to say about the display is I just want to mention the contrast ratios. Right here on the left hand side, it says that the Pixel handsets have a contrast ratio, or rather a super contrast ratio of 100,000 to 1. Compare that to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. The iPhone 7 has 1400 to 1 and the iPhone 7 Plus has 1300 to 1. So yeah, I don't quite know what the hell is going on here, but because of the AMOLED screen on the Pixel and Pixel XL, it looks like their true black level will be much better, and their contrast ratio reflects that. So yeah, black levels on the Pixel and Pixel XL, again, I think will be far superior to what we see on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. But again, we need to get our hands on one of these handsets so we can compare them side by side. But right now, it looks like, again, the Pixel kind of trumps the iPhones in the display department. So moving right along, I want to talk about battery life and just compare them between the Pixel and the Pixel XL and the iPhones. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. If you look at the battery life on the Pixel and Pixel XL here on the left hand side, you'll see that the Pixel has a battery that is 2770 milliamp hours. And I'll just go to the battery section here on the iPhone browser. Okay, here we go. Now, Apple doesn't tell you the milliamp hours of the batteries in the iPhones, but I found out anyways. The iPhone 7 has a battery that's 1960 milliamp hours, and the iPhone 7 Plus has a battery that's 2900 milliamp hours. So comparing that to the left hand side for the Pixel and Pixel XL, you'll see that the Pixel itself here, the standard 5-inch Pixel, has 2770 milliamp hours compared to the 1960 of the iPhone 7. So that's a huge difference in battery sizes for these base handsets. That is a big difference. You can even see it reflected here in the usage times for the Pixel compared to the iPhone 7. They look quite similar in some of them, but just by looking at battery size alone, again, I think the Pixel kind of just wins. Similar story for the Pixel XL. It's got a battery that's 3450 milliamp hours compared to the iPhone 7 Plus battery, which is 2900 milliamp hours. So there's like a 550 milliamp hour difference there. Again, that's a pretty big difference. I mean, for the Pixel to have a battery that's that much bigger, it is considerable. The difference is, I mean, it's not going to be a small difference. I really think the Pixel XL has a battery that will last you most of the day, if not the whole day. And that's one of the things that Google was saying in their conference, that the Pixel has an all-day battery, whereas, well, yeah, the iPhone 7 doesn't. But again, it comes down to usage. If you use your phone like a psycho all day, then yeah, it won't last all day. But for general use, I think the Pixel XL wins this one as well, compared to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. So that's pretty crazy. Oh, and another thing that I need to mention, the Pixel XL and Pixel also have fast charging. Google saying that you get 7 hours of battery life off a 15-minute charge. Now that's pretty crazy. If I charge my iPhone 7 Plus for 15 minutes, I probably get 5 to 10% of battery life. That does not equate to 7 hours. Fast charging on these Android devices is something that I think is really cool. Yeah, okay, the Galaxy Note 7 battery exploded, but that's besides the point. Fast charging is something that I really wish that iPhones had. They don't have it. So yeah, fast charging on these Android devices is pretty freaking cool. And again, I think the Pixel and the Pixel XL win in the battery department. So yeah, so far it's not looking great for the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, I've got to say. Moving right along then, I want to talk about the processors in each of these handsets. Right, so here for the Pixel and Pixel XL, it says that they have a Snapdragon 821 quad-core processor running at 2.15 GHz. And if you go over to the iPhone side, you can see that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus have the custom A10 Fusion chip, 64-bit architecture, and it's got the embedded M10 Motion coprocessor. One thing that Google did in their conferences was they pointed out everything that was better than the iPhone in their conference. One thing that they didn't point out was the processor being better. This leads me to believe that the A10 processor in the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus is superior to the one in the Pixel and Pixel XL. Websites that have reviewed the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus have all said that it's the fastest mobile processor ever to be in a mobile phone. So I think that just looking at raw horsepower of these microprocessors in these mobile phones, I think the iPhone finally wins this one. I think the A10 processor will be superior to the one in the Pixel and the Pixel XL. So yeah, I don't see the Pixel XL processor beating the A10 chip. But one thing that the Pixel and Pixel XL does have over the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus is that the Pixels have 4 gigs of RAM, whereas the iPhone 7 has 2 gigabytes of RAM and the iPhone 7 Plus has 3 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, again, the Pixel wins in terms of RAM, whereas the 7 and 7 Plus win in raw performance. I'm going to give that to the iPhone. Storage wise, the Pixel has 2 options. It's got a 32 gig option and a 128 gig option. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus come in ranges from 32 gigabytes all the way up to 256 gigabytes. Now you may be thinking, oh, I don't care. The Pixels are Android, so of course they're gonna accept micro SD cards. I've got bad news for you, they don't. Micro SD cards are not supported on the Pixel or Pixel XL. So welcome to the world of running out of storage on your phone. But Google apparently has an answer to that, and they're going to be giving you unlimited storage for your photos and videos in their Google Cloud, and they won't be compressed either, so you'll be able to store all of your photos and all of your videos in their native resolutions for free in Google Photos. So that's a nice touch, but you will have to sync everything to the cloud. So they're saying, yeah, it's unlimited storage, you never have to worry about storage on your phone. That's not very true. You still do have to worry about storage on your phone. But yeah, that's no micro SD card support on the Pixel and Pixel XL. That's all I need to say about that. So storage wise, the iPhone wins. RAM wise, Pixels win. Raw horsepower on the microprocessor, iPhone wins. Moving right along, let's quickly talk about speakers. So audio coming from these handsets, and I want to then talk about the camera, which is probably the biggest topic right here. So speakers, we know that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus actually have 2 built-in speakers this time around. They're stereo speakers. They've got one on the bottom of the device here, and they've got another one here in the earpiece. So they've got a front-firing speaker and a speaker at the bottom, giving you really good stereo sound, which is a lot better than the previous iPhone models that have been on the market. The Pixel and Pixel XL have a single bottom firing speaker, so that's very similar to what you saw in previous iPhones like the 6S, 6 and every iPhone before that pretty much. So speaker quality on these handsets, comparing the Pixel to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, I'm going to have to give this one to the iPhone. Looks like the stereo speakers of course beat the single speaker on the Pixel. So moving right along, before I speak about the camera, which will be my final topic of discussion here, I just want to mention one other quick thing. Now, Google's saying that the Pixel handsets are the first of the Google handsets to have the Google Assistant built in. Now, you might be wondering what the Google Assistant is. Now, the Google Assistant is this AI technology that Google is launching that is like a glorified Siri, if that makes sense. I mean, right now it's becoming like the battle of the AIs. You've got Google Assistant, you've got Siri, you've got Cortana on Microsoft devices, and you've got Alexa from Amazon, which is also out now. So you've got all of these AIs, there's 4 of them right there, which I just remembered off the top of my head. Siri is fantastic. I use Siri pretty much every day. It's never let me down, but it does have its limitations. Cortana is excellent because it draws everything from the cloud and you can ask it questions, and it's like a human kind of, it's more conversational. Cortana is, I think Cortana is more conversational than Siri is. I don't have any experience with Amazon Alexa, but what they showed with the Google Assistant was really quite cool. It's very conversational, it's very natural, and it's very human. I know it sounds weird, but there's lots of companies that are really investing time and money into machine learning and artificial intelligence and like bots. So like if you want to book a table, you do it through a bot, and the bot will talk to you and it will speak to you as if it were a human. That's one thing that I think that they've actually got really right, the Google Assistant. I mean, if you look at the Google Home device, it looks amazing. It's very similar to the Amazon Alexa, but it's like Amazon Alexa on steroids. The Google Assistant is something that I'm really excited about, and that's built right into these Pixel handsets. So that's going to be really interesting for the future, and looking at how the world of artificial intelligence is growing so rapidly now, especially with all these companies investing time and money into it. AIs are really becoming a viable thing now. It's like Jarvis from Iron Man. I want it to get to that stage, but we're not quite there yet. But yeah, if I had to compare the assistants in these handsets, it's really tough between Siri and Google Assistant because I haven't used Google Assistant. Right now, as it stands right now, they seem quite similar, but I don't know. This one's a tie. Right now, Google Assistant is tied with Siri in my eyes, with the expectation that the Google Assistant will overtake Siri in the near future. Once they implement everything that they said they want to implement, I think the Google Assistant will be better than Siri, but as it stands right now, I think they're about the same. Yeah, so moving right along to the really important topic, which is the camera. Now, Google fired some shots at Apple in their whole conference, to be honest. You could see that they were targeting the market that Apple has with the iPhone. I mean, they're not going to badmouth Samsung because Samsung has Android on it and Android is made by Google, so if they kind of diss Samsung, it's kind of like shooting themselves in the foot because Samsung's like one of their partners. So the Pixel is really like an iPhone alternative made by Google. But yeah, they did badmouth iPhone a little bit. They said that the Pixel has no unsightly camera bump. They showed the 3.5mm headphone jack and then kind of laughed in one of their adverts. One thing that they didn't do was say whether the Pixel or Pixel XL were water, dust or splash resistant. Because they didn't say it, I'm assuming that they're not. So yeah, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, water and dust resistant, so the iPhone wins in that regard. But yeah, I think we need to talk about cameras now. So the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus launch, and they were said to have the best mobile cameras on the market, very similar to the Galaxy S7. The Galaxy S7 camera is also fantastic. Google dropped like a megaton saying that the Google Pixel cameras are rated the best mobile cameras ever. And yeah, they made a pretty big deal about it, and if you look at the camera specifications right here on the left hand side, you can see that it's a 12.3 megapixel camera and it's got an f-stop of 2.0. Compare that to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus here on the right hand side. You can see that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus have a 12 megapixel camera with an f-stop of 1.8. Looking at the specs like this, you can see that the iPhone has a better aperture at 1.8 compared to the 2.0 on the Pixel, but the Pixel has 12.3 megapixels compared to the iPhone's 12 megapixels. iPhone 7 Plus obviously has two 12 megapixel cameras, but I'm not going to count the telephoto camera because it's a 2.8 aperture compared to the 1.8 of the wide angle. So yeah, there's not really much point counting that one. It's a nice feature to have though. Don't completely disregard the telephoto lens, but for the sake of this argument, I'm just looking at raw facts here. 12.3 megapixels versus 12 with an f-stop of 2 versus 1.8. The front camera on the Pixel is an 8 megapixel front-facing camera with an f-stop of 2.4 and a fixed focus. I don't really know what the hell they mean by fixed focus, but yeah, I don't know, it's a little bit odd that they wrote fixed focus down here. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus on the other hand have a 7 megapixel camera on the front. It's a great camera, but yeah, again, looking at reviews of the Pixel and Pixel XL camera compared to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, again, with the camera department, it looks like the Pixel is going to win this. We obviously need to test it ourselves, but looking at DxOMark, that vigorously test these mobile cameras, they have come out and said it is the best mobile camera in any mobile device ever. They have very similar video shooting resolutions. Well, they're pretty much the same. Both do 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p HD at 30 frames, 60 frames and 120 frames per second, and then 720p at 30, 60 and 240. That's all exactly the same. They both have image stabilization. They both have slow-mo support. The iPhone has a whole bunch of things listed right here, whereas the Google Pixel doesn't really tell you much. But I expect them to be quite similar in regards to the camera, but overall quality, I have to give it to the Pixel. And I have to give it to the Pixel because of this article right here. Now, this is DxOMark, and they basically give every mobile phone a rating out of 100. So the highest ever score is 89, and you can see right here that the Google Pixel scored 89. That's the highest score that a mobile handset's ever had for their cameras, and yeah, it's pretty damn amazing. I mean, look at these images. That this was taken with a Google Pixel, and it looks amazing. It really does. Compare that though to the iPhone 7 camera, and you'll see that the iPhone 7 camera is no slouch. I mean, look at this image here, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's another one here on the iPhone 7. So yeah, the iPhone 7 camera is pretty damn amazing, and it scored 86 on the DxOMark. And yeah, the Pixel scores 89. This website that vigorously tests all these mobile handsets for the cameras are saying it's better all round, pretty much. I can't really argue with this. Looking at what they're saying, yeah, it looks like the Google Pixel camera is actually slightly better than the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus cameras, but the 7 Plus does have that telephoto zoom lens, so if you're interested in that, then yeah, that's probably a damn good thing, and it's handy to have. I mean, I use it when I'm shooting video on my phone. But yeah, I think for general use and performance, these cameras are going to perform pretty much the same. But if you want to nitpick and look at specs and compare them directly, just, you know, hardware comparisons, then yes, again, the Pixel wins. So what more is there to say? I mean, is Google launching an iPhone 7 killer in that respect? Or, you know, what the hell is going on here? I mean, you've got Google coming out with their first handset, which by the way is made by HTC. They didn't tell us that, but yeah, it's manufactured by HTC. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be a pretty big deal. Pre-orders start today. I think it comes out next month, so November. But yeah, I think Google's really onto a winner here. It's launching with Android Nougat, 5.5-inch screen, 5-inch screen, their own Google Touch ID thing here, slightly worse speakers, better screen, better camera, better AI assistant. Yeah, you can't really argue with it. I think time will tell. Oh, and it's got a better battery as well, so why the hell did I buy an iPhone 7 Plus? Actually, I'm sticking with my iPhone 7 Plus. I wouldn't buy the Google Pixel. It's their first ever handset. I want to see it come out. I want to have a play with it. I want to see how it goes. I'm not the biggest fan of Android. I just don't get on with Android. It's just not for me. I love iOS. But yeah, each to their own. If you love Android and you're interested in the Google Pixel, yeah, more power to you. Go and get it. I mean, it looks amazing. I can't really say much more than that. The phone looks like a winner. It looks freaking amazing. Go and pre-order it. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit like. If you hated it, dislike. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I am DK86. Bye!